Welcome to Confident Leadership in Color. I'm Hanna Zaxmy, leadership coach, mentor, and Leaders for Leader. And this is another episode of our summer series, In Light Moments, Hammock Reflections for Your Leadership Palette. Short reflections created for the hammock, the walk, the quiet coffee moment, or those few minutes finally have space to hear yourself think. Today we continue through the Confident framework, but we are moving a little differently than usual order. Because after nurture, after asking what supports us to lead from a steadier place, I believe there is an important question to ask before we move into focus. And that is the question connected to truth, the last letter. Today's question is, what feels true about the leader I'm becoming? Truth can sound like a big word, really big, as if we need to find one final answer, one fixed identity, one perfect sentence that explains who we are and who we are meant to become. But that is not what I mean here. In this, truth is not about performing a new version of yourself. It is not about creating a polished leadership identity. And it is not about forcing yourself to have everything figured out. It is much softer than this. It is about noticing what feels a little more true now, what feels more aligned, what is becoming clearer, what is becoming harder to ignore. Sometimes truth does not arrive as a dramatic revelation. Sometimes it's simply what becomes clearer when the noise gets lower. When we slow down, when we stop carrying what never ours to carry, when we begin to lead from a steadier place, then we may begin to hear something underneath the pressure, underneath the expectations, underneath the roles we have stepped into, underneath the version of ourselves we may have tried to maintain. And from that place, we can ask, what feels true about the leader I'm becoming? For me, truth often becomes clear when I stop asking only what is expected from me, what would make sense to others, what would look responsible, what should I be able to explain. And instead, I begin to ask, what feels deeply aligned now? What feels honest? What feels like something I can stand in with more steadiness? Sometimes I notice that truth does not arrive as a complete new idea. It feels more like something inside me becoming clearer, steadier, and harder to ignore. Not necessarily loud, not always dramatic, but more grounded, more peaceful, more alive. And I think this is such an important part of self-leadership. Because if I only ask what I should do next, I may miss the deeper question of who I am becoming. And if I start building focus, habits, decisions, and next steps without asking what feels true, I may end up moving forward in a direction that is busy but not deeply aligned. So before we ask what deserves our focus, we pause here with truth. Not to solve everything, but to notice. So here is today's Enlight Moment question. What feels true about the leader I am becoming? Not who should I become? Not who do others need me to be? Not how can I improve myself quickly? Instead, what feels true? What feels aligned? What feels like something in me is ready to grow more fully? Maybe you are becoming a leader who listens before reacting. Maybe you are becoming a leader who no longer wants to lead from guilt. Maybe you are becoming a leader who creates more space for reflection. Maybe you are becoming a leader who speaks with more honesty. Maybe you are becoming a leader who dares to take the next step before everything is perfect, who leads with more courage, calm, joy, faith, and clarity. You are simply becoming more fully yourself. Because this is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself. And here's my invitation for your extra 10 minutes today. Take a notebook or open a note on your phone. Write these 3 sentences that start. I am becoming a leader who. I no longer want to lead from. I want to lead with more. And then let yourself write without overthinking. You do not need perfect answers. You do not need complete clarity. You do not need to define your whole identity in 10 minutes. Just notice what comes. And if one sentence feels stronger than the others, you may want to carry it with you on your walk, in your prayer, in your journal, into the quiet space of the day as a small reminder of what is becoming more true. So today, carry this question with you. What feels true about the leader I am becoming? And this as a gentle invitation to listen for what is becoming clearer, steadier, and more aligned. Because before we choose what to focus on, it helps to notice what feels true. This is In Light Moments, hammock reflections for your leadership palette. Thank you for listening to Confident Leadership in Color. Follow the podcast and you will not miss the next episode. And as always, be confident, be you.